A mother only kissed her son on the forehead and was electrocuted, but the boy wasn't afraid because he had a superpower. As long as his finger touched a dead person, anyone could come back to life. A few days ago, the boy was playing outside with his dog, but the dog got into an accident with a truck. When the boy saw the dog's body, he was heartbroken and touched it one last time. Suddenly, electricity sparked. The next second, the dog came back to life. That was the first time the boy used his superpower. But what he didn't know was that 1 minute later, a squirrel fell from a tree. Another accident happened. The boy's mother suddenly died of a heart attack. The boy quickly touched her with his hand and brought her back to life. The mother thought she had just fainted and went back to baking cookies for her son. But a minute later, their neighbor collapsed. The boy finally realized that this was the price of using his power. One life was traded for another. At the funeral, the boy saw the neighbor's daughter. He felt so guilty that he stopped touching others. Instead, he focused on food and became a great pastry chef because any fruit he touched instantly became fresh. But one day, a police officer was chasing a criminal. The criminal accidentally fell, but while dying, he touched the man and came back to life. To prevent others from being harmed, the man sent him back to the underworld with just one touch of his finger so that no life would be exchanged. However, the police officer saw this happen. After discovering his superpower, the officer asked the man to help solve a case. They went to the morgue. They wanted the victim to tell them who the killer was. The man began to count the time, then used electricity to bring the victim back to life. The victim said that his secretary had ordered a vicious dog to attack him. After getting that information, the man touched him. The victim died again. With that, they caught the real culprit. Soon after, another case came in. This time, the victim was the man's childhood neighbor. He returned to his village. They hired a funeral home worker. But this time, the man asked to revive the victim alone. The police officer was confused. Then the man opened the coffin and touched the girl's face with his finger. When the girl saw her childhood friend, she couldn't believe it. The man asked who killed her, but the killer attacked from behind. The girl didn't know who it was. Then they started reminiscing about the past. The man even lost track of time. 1 minute passed, the funeral worker became the replacement. And with that, the girl stayed alive. If you had that kind of superpower, what would you do?